Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Lillith Lodge and I am a full service sex worker, also known as an escort, based here in Brisbane, Australia. Today's video, I want to talk about shy clients dealing with incredibly shy social anxiety. In my experience, a lot of the time they're also neurodivergent clients. I think this is an important topic for conversation one to be used as a resource for providers in the industry who maybe don't know how to handle these clients, but also for those clients to see, because I do have a few tips for them at the end of the video. Of course, if you are another provider within the industry and you have additional tips or tricks you would like to leave in the comment section below, of course, feel free to do so. If you are a self-proclaimed very shy, nervous client and you feel comfortable to do so, you can also leave your comments in the comment section below. Maybe there is something that a certain provider has done for you to make you feel more comfortable that may be helpful with this conversation. I do feel that I have some knowledge on this topic to talk about it, given that a very high volume of my clients would be classified as like extremely nervous, very shy, neurodivergent, social anxiety types. So I do feel like this is the majority of my client base. And after 3 years of doing my job, I feel like I have really learned a lot about them approaching those bookings and trying to make those clients feel comfortable. I do feel like the reason why I receive such a high volume of bookings from this particular subset of clients is because of the content that I produce. I do think that clients find it easier to book me given that they can see a lot of me, my personality, and get a bit of insight before coming to see me. I think that's why I get so many of them. Without a further tangent, let's get into the main topics here. The first thing I want you to really focus on is having empathy, okay? Having empathy for these clients. It's not an outlandish concept that people would be very nervous, very shy when meeting you in this kind of setting. You're a stranger, they don't know you, they are paying for sex, so they then also have to perform. They have a time limit on their interaction, like they have no idea what they are walking into within that room. And I think that majority of people would be some level of nervous about this situation. This can be amplified for your clients who already have social anxiety, who already feel inexperienced, who are neurodivergent. That is just blowing this up even bigger. You know, it is just so much worse for them. So I think holding space and empathy for those clients and trying to put yourself in their shoes will really help you in this situation. The second thing I want to talk about is going to come across a little bit unusual at first, but essentially this topic point is called "They Don't Hate You." Why am I calling it that? Well, when I started seeing super nervous, super shy clients for full service work, I often misinterpreted the signals. Now, I am autistic and I've been very open about that, so I do find it harder than most to read body language. However, I feel like I have sort of made that a special interest of mine in order to try to advance those skills. I would often feel that these clients were completely uninterested, maybe unattracted to me, maybe bored, maybe sick of my shit, because of their body language, their inability to maintain eye contact, maybe also their really short replies when I was trying to make conversation with them. And there's been a lot of bookings, but I've genuinely thought, he hated me, he hated that experience, and they didn't. It's just the way that they deal with those encounters. They don't know what to say. That's why they're giving you short replies. They're not making eye contact because they're intimidated or they're autistic. Maybe their body language is looking standoffish because they are shy, because they are nervous. They're sort of like doing like protective body language, okay? Keep that in mind when you have these kinds of clients. They don't hate you. It is not a means to, to be snappy back with them, to get irritated with them, or to get in your own head thinking that they hate you. They don't hate you at all. They just don't know how to communicate with you, or they're too scared to. So please don't allow this to affect the quality of service that you give these clients. The next point I want to discuss is being patient, okay? A lot of the time, these clients need a little bit more time just to ground themselves, to feel comfortable. And what can happen is if you rush them, they walk in, you talk to them for 2 or 5 minutes and you send them straight into shower and then proceed to the main event, especially when they've booked an hour or more of a booking, you will find that downstairs doesn't work. or they're unable to finish because they were so nervous and they never really had that time to ground themselves. Now, I can understand and sympathize with other providers, especially when people are being really short with you, they're not really talking to you. You can interpret that to mean that they just want to get straight into things. And I've definitely been guilty of this before. I've tried to direct them to the shower thinking that their short responses and their body language meant that they were bored and they just wanted to, do the and get out of here. But for these type of clients, it's actually not the case. And pushing them too quickly won't get them to the finish line. I understand that it can be hard to make conversation with people when they're in this kind of state, but you really need to persevere and try, because you need your goal to be to make them feel comfortable as you possibly can. Another note here, when it comes to conversation, something that I find works really well for these kinds of clients is trying to find a topic of conversation that they are very confident in talking about. You will normally be able to get a lot more out of them talking about something that they're interested in. Sometimes for some of them, it may be their job. I've definitely had really shy clients that were very comfortable talking about their job, but any other sort of conversations they really stalled with because they just didn't really know what to say. Others, maybe they walk in and they see Pokemon everywhere and they're like, oh, Pokemon. And then I can start talking to them about that because, it might be a special interest or something that they feel quite confident discussing. Maybe it is a computer game they play, like Destiny, or I don't know, like anything, Zelda, something. It may also be something like cryptocurrency. It could be a book they're reading. Try and see if you can find a hobby or a topic of interest that they can talk about. Really be attentive when they're talking about this so they feel that they are, they're feeling more comfortable opening up about that topic or like having their voice heard. A lot of the time I find that this can lead them to talk a little bit more throughout the booking because they've kind of, they may have been able to give you 3 or 4 sentences about that topic, which, as we know, for these clients that are very, very shy, that's a lot. Like getting that little bit from them, you may find that you can get more of them when you're talking about other things. And I think this makes perfect sense because if you were to put me in a room full of like 1,000 people watching me talk, and you wanted me to talk about sex work, I could get up there and yap all day to everyone about sex work, and I wouldn't care that many people were looking at me, that many people were listening to me. But if you sent me on stage and you wanted me to talk about, I don't know, politics maybe, or something that I was not as confident in discussing, of course I would stall more. Of course I would get more in my own head about what I'm saying, if I'm saying the right thing. And I probably wouldn't seem as confident presenting, a speech on something like that. And I do think this applies to them. Of course, it's not a room of 1,000 or 100 people, it's just you and them. But you've got to understand that for them, that's a lot. Like, them talking to you is a lot. Another key note is don't be bitchy, don't be snappy. I feel it's just wild to me that I even have to like put this in the video, but I do know from some of my clients' experiences that they encountered this big time with a few providers. And especially your shy ones, if they're not doing anything wrong, please don't be like nasty to them or short with them or rude. Be warm, because you're only making it worse. Like, the meaner you are to them, the harder it is going to be for them to get where they're trying to go. This should apply to all clients, but I feel like I have to reiterate it in this video. The last thing I want to talk about when, presenting this as a resource to other workers is these clients may be tricky to navigate. Absolutely. I'm not going to say that they're the easiest clients to deal with, because it is a tricky situation, especially when, you're new to dealing with them and dealing with the complexities of their situation. What I will tell you is that if you can give these clients a good experience, if they feel comfortable with you, they are the most likely to become regular clients, in my experience. If they find a provider that they mesh with, that they feel comfortable with, they will continue to keep coming back to you, okay? Because as I'm sure you can imagine, if you're very nervous about meeting new people and engaging with women, if you find one that is fulfilling that need and you're getting a good quality of service and you feel safe going to see her, you're just going to keep seeing the same one, right? You're not going to risk it seeing somebody else. So it is really worthwhile learning how to interact with these clients, because they will be a great supporter of your business. And it is also really, really rewarding to watch them grow. Like, I have clients that have been seeing me for a long time that would fit into this classification. And I can remember the first time I saw them and them literally being able to say like 2 words or like 2 sentences the entire booking. I have clients that I remember the first time they saw me were physically shaking. Their entire body was shaking. Now they stroll in, They may not be the most confident in talking, but they will talk about different things. They'll listen to me yap, they'll laugh at me. It's very rewarding watching them grow and remembering where they were originally and where they are now. In some ways, I do feel that it is good to witness. I feel like I'm doing something good and watching this person progress. And of course, when they get really confident with you, you can always encourage them to go and see a friend or something like that you have in the industry to try to push them outside of their comfort zone. As I do also think that when they get comfortable, that is really beneficial for them as well. Now, if you are a shy or nervous client and you're watching this video and you've made it through the resource part of the video, I do have a few tips for nervous clients, just a couple. Of course, I really hope this hasn't come across like you're being a burden. It's not. This is just me trying to, I guess, provide a resource to other workers who maybe don't know how to handle this kind of thing. I'm sure most of you are quite understanding. I do find my shy, nervous clients like very understanding of the intentions behind like a video like this. Anyway, here are my tips. Here are my tips for you guys if you're still watching. Sending a thank you message if you had a good booking, only if you had a good booking. If you didn't, don't worry about it. If you enjoyed the encounter, sending a message saying, thank you so much, I had a lovely time. 90% of my nervous clients, they leave, and sometimes I'm unsure if they actually liked me or not. I try not to let those little voices creep in my head, but you know what I mean? Then after the booking, I will get a message being like, oh, thank you so much, Lil, I had a great time. I'm so sorry, I'm nervous and shy, I didn't know what to say, that kind of thing, right? It just reiterates to the provider that you did actually enjoy the service. If you didn't enjoy it, you don't have to do that. But if you find it hard to vocalize that you had a good time, or you think maybe your body language looks like you didn't, it really does help that provider, and it really does encourage her. So I find most of my clients who fit in this category do this without me even having to ask. That's just their, I guess, the pattern that they've learned of being like, I'm so sorry that I was so shy and I didn't say anything, but I had a great time. And I really do appreciate that. My second tip would be very selective on who it is you choose to see. You are never going to mesh with everyone's personalities. And I know it can be hard to tell because not everyone has videos of them and their personality and things like that. But maybe read through reviews and try to find people that you think you would mesh well with if possible. You can go through things like their Twitter, their Instagram, that kind of thing. Just because you have one bad experience with one provider doesn't mean that the service isn't for you at all. It may just be that that provider didn't know how to handle your situation. Maybe she misunderstood your body language, or maybe you just didn't mesh, and that's perfectly fine. I have clients sometimes that I don't mesh with. It's a matter of finding somebody that you feel comfortable and safe to see. My last tip would be, if you feel comfortable enough to do so, when you're making that booking, dropping in some sort of hint that you are a shy or nervous client. So for example, I've had some inquiries from clients before, and they've sent through everything my ad asked for, their name, their age, what day, what time. So I know it's not a time waster booking, but they might have put a little note on the bottom like, I've never done this before and I'm really nervous, or I have social anxiety, or some of mine will straight up say on it, I'm autistic, or I have ADHD. Whatever the case is, you know, something like, I really struggle talking to women, they're really intimidating to me, but I want to improve on it, or something like that. As much as it may be really hard to do so, if you feel comfortable enough to drop some sort of hint in that first message, it may be beneficial because she can kind of go into the booking knowing what she's expecting. Of course, you don't have to do that, but I do find it really helpful, and quite a lot of mine will drop some sort of hint in their initial inquiry, like I'm really nervous, or even just the day of the booking when I send the check-in message, they will send something back like, I am coming, but I'm really nervous. That way I know how they're coming to the table and the state that they're going to be in when they get here. I hope that helps a little bit. I'm unsure, but I've tried to put together what I can and what I can think of coming to mind. Maybe another little tip I find is if my client is really nervous and nothing I am doing is helping at all, I do something to make a fool of myself. Like, I will deliberately embarrass myself because for some reason it seems to make them feel more comfortable. I don't know why, but it seems to work. So if you're a provider watching this, maybe try that too. I have no issue making a fool of myself. I make a fool of myself on the internet every day. I really couldn't care less, but if you feel comfortable to do so, that might help too. Again, if you are a shy, nervous client and you feel comfortable leaving comments below on the topic, please do. Also, if you are a provider who's watching this video and you're like, oh, she didn't mention this, this is a great tactic, and you feel comfortable to leave it, please do, because I would love for this to be a great resource to other workers as well. I hope that you guys have learned something from this video, and I will catch you in the next one.